Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about smoking. But I'm not going to bore you with information on how bad it is for your body. Instead, I'm going to divide this topic into two videos. Part 1 will discuss the mental health issues associated with smoking, and part 2 will discuss evidence-based strategies to successfully quit smoking. So let's dive right in. The statistics regarding smoking are shocking but not surprising. Tobacco alone causes 8 million deaths per year in the world. Out of these, 7 million deaths are the result of direct tobacco use, whereas 1 million of those deaths are the result of exposure to second-hand smoke. Almost 20% of all global deaths are related to tobacco use. 1 in 5 adults smoke in the world. Men are much more likely to smoke than women. According to the WHO data, we have almost 1.3 billion smokers in the world, and if this trend continues, that number will go up to 1.6 billion smokers. Also, smoking cuts almost 13 years on average from your life expectancy. So if smoking really is so bad for us, why do we start smoking in the first place? Well, the tobacco industry's ads, price breaks, and other promotions are a big influence on our society. The tobacco industry spends billions of dollars each year to create and market ads that show smoking as being glamorous, exciting, and safe. In addition to this, smoking is also frequently depicted on video games, television, and movies. Multiple studies show that young people who are exposed to more of these media depicting smoking are more likely to take up smoking than those who don't. So there are 3 main reasons for anyone to start and continue smoking. Usually we smoke because of a combination of these 3 reasons. Number 1 is situation triggers, which is the smoke you want when you're around certain people or in certain situations. Now, most people who smoke started out when they were teenagers. People whose parents or friends smoke are more likely than others to take up smoking. Some teenagers say that they simply wanted to try something new or thought that it was cool to start smoking. For others, it's a way to rebel against authority and prove to others that they are tough. For still others, the thrill of doing something taboo for their age group is enough to try smoking. Number 2 is emotional triggers, which is the smoke you want when you're stressed, upset, angry, bored, or happy. Now, many individuals take up smoking as a means of coping with unwanted feelings, and this is reinforced by society because stressed individuals are often forgiven for taking up the habit, in addition to being sympathized for. And number 3 is the nicotine or physical addiction. Now, that's the chemical addiction that causes withdrawal symptoms and the need of the body for nicotine. Now, how does smoking become addictive? Nicotine is the main addictive substance in cigarettes and other forms of tobacco. Nicotine is a drug that affects many parts of your body, including your brain. Over time, your body and brain become used to nicotine being in them, and about 80 to 90% of smokers who smoke regularly are addicted to nicotine. Within 10 seconds of entering the body, nicotine reaches the brain, and in the brain, nicotine affects the chemistry of the central nervous system, affecting mood. Nicotine works very much like other drugs of abuse, flooding the brain's reward circuitry with a chemical called dopamine. Nicotine also gives a bit of an adrenaline rush, which is not enough to notice, but enough to speed up your heart rate and to increase your blood pressure. This effect gives you a buzz of pleasure and energy. Now, this effect is very similar to that caused by other drugs of misuse such as amphetamines and cocaine, and is a critical feature of brain addiction mechanisms. However, this buzz fades quickly, and because you want that buzz again, your body and mind provoke you to light up the next cigarette. Over time, your body develops a high tolerance to nicotine, so you'll need to smoke more and more to get the same buzz. This up and down cycle happens over and over again, and that's what leads to addiction. Studies show that smoking is much more likely to become a habit during the teen years than later in life. So the younger you are when you start smoking, the more likelihood there is that you'll become a lifelong smoker. The next logical question is, why is it so hard to quit smoking? Well, that's because of the withdrawal symptoms that happen when you try to quit. These withdrawal symptoms will include headaches, insomnia, nausea, some people have vomiting, constipation and gas, irritability, feeling restless and jumpy, feeling sad or low, inability to concentrate on work, and also gaining weight as a result of increased appetite from stopping smoking. However, remember that these withdrawal effects are not life-threatening. They may be uncomfortable, but over time they get better. The withdrawal symptoms start within a few hours of the last cigarette and peak about 2 to 3 days later when most of the nicotine and its byproducts are actually out of your system. Every day that you stay quit, your symptoms will improve and your withdrawal symptoms should not last beyond 6 to 8 weeks. Smoking to ease stress is known as self-medication. Now, stress is very common, affecting most of us when we're unable to cope with unwelcome pressure. Stress can cause physical symptoms such as headaches and breathlessness, as well as emotional ones such as anxiety, sadness, or irritability. Feeling stressed makes people smoke much more than usual. Research into stress and smoking has shown that instead of helping people relax, smoking actually worsens anxiety and tension. Now, nicotine causes an immediate sense of relaxation, so many people smoke in the belief that it will help them counter their stress. But these feelings of relaxation are temporary and they are soon replaced by withdrawal symptoms and increased cravings. These feelings add on to the pre-existing stress and worsen it. Smoking rates in depressed people are twice as high as they are in non-depressed people. Depressed people also find it much more difficult to stop smoking and have more severe withdrawal symptoms when they try to quit. That's because nicotine stimulates the brain to release the chemical dopamine. Now, dopamine is a feel-good hormone. Dopamine triggers feelings of positivity. And since these feelings of positivity are lower in depressed individuals, they may try to take up smoking to temporarily increase their dopamine levels. Now, this may sound like a quick fix for the dopamine problem, but it's not. Because in the long term, nicotine actually turns off the brain's mechanism to produce dopamine naturally, and so these individuals become dependent on the dopamine rush that they get from cigarettes to feel positive. That's why depressed people are much more addicted to cigarettes than non-depressed people. And lastly, no discussion on smoking is complete without talking about e-cigarettes. Electronic nicotine delivery systems and electronic non-nicotine delivery systems are commonly referred to as e-cigarettes. These are devices that heat up a liquid to create an aerosol which is then inhaled by the user. The main constituents of this liquid are propylene glycol with or without glycerol and flavoring agents. This liquid may or may not contain nicotine. E-cigarettes are often used by smokers as a way to quit smoking, but there is no evidence to suggest that e-cigarettes are better than any existing modalities to quit smoking. In fact, e-cigarettes, even though do not contain tobacco, are extremely harmful for health and are not safe. E-cigarettes are particularly risky when used by children and adolescents because their brains are still developing. E-cigarettes are known to cause heart disease as well as lung disorders, and e-cigarettes also damage the growing fetus, so they are particularly risky when used by pregnant women. Okay, so this brings me to the end of part 1 of smoking. I hope you've got knowledge about the mental health effects of smoking. Stay tuned for part 2 where I talk about evidence-based strategies to quit smoking. Have a great day ahead and take care of yourselves.